All right, so good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. My name is Ian Sullivan. I am the committee clerk assigned to this committee. My pronouns are he, him, and I thought before we go into the election of officers and the business of the meeting, we would do a quick round of the members of the committee, just a brief introduction. Spark notes. Any pronouns you would wish to be used and things like that. And then once we're all kind of through, I will look to the election of officers. So I will first start with Councillor Hassan because he's first on my screen.
Yes, sir. My introduction? Yes, I'm Jimmy Hassan. I'm a city councillor from the Trillium District number 6. I'm a small business owner and Kingstonian from last 25 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Councillor. Next, I'll go to the other Councillor, Councillor Stephen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy Stephen. I represent Lakeside District in the West End. I was on the EDI Advisory Committee last year. Really happy to be back to do some good work with folks. I have a teaching background and I am in a position where I have a lot of privilege that I am learning to understand, and I am trying to use it for good to lift up other people's voices. So my plan in being here is to hopefully create space for others to be heard. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Councillor. I will go to Johnson next.
All right. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Johnson Adebayo. I work as an inclusion specialist with the Keys Employment and Newcomer Services. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you. I'm a new member anyway. So. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnson. Next, I'll go to Ophelia. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Ophelia Rigaud. I've lived in Kingston since about 2007. This is my 3rd year on the EDI committee, and I'm a small business owner. I do training and workshops for businesses.
Awesome. Thank you, Ophelia. Next, I'll go to Hal Holt.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be on this committee the second time around. I'm age 84, and I mention that because I'm maybe slow on process, so feel free to jump on me when I am. And secondly, it's hard to set up size your background when you're 84. But here goes. I have a long professional career in human resource management and development in the private sector, hospital sector, including KGH, and then many years overseas doing international consulting. My lens on racial and religious inclusion, that part of the spectrum, comes from a number of things. Relevant volunteer experience here for many years in Kingston. Experience is at Queens KGH, and from my roots here, I have relatives here. My roots go way back in Kingston. Second and thirdly, experiences from having served on the Afro-Caribbean Community Foundation in Kingston for some years. And lastly, witnessing my beloved wife and stepkids, who are all Black Jamaican, acculturating in Kingston. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hal. I'll look to Ambalika Kumar next.
Good afternoon. My name is Ambalika Kumar. This is my first time being part of the EDI committee. I'm a grade 10 student at Luther College, and I'm excited to be part of the committee. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ambalika. And last but not least is Nada Arabi.
Hello, my name is Nada Arabi. I'm new to Kingston. It's been just 7 months. I'm studying project management, and I have a background in gender studies as a researcher. And also I've worked on EDI projects with the NGOs in Morocco. So I'm really glad to be selected to be one of you guys and looking forward to work on many projects in here. Thank you.
Amazing. So I'm glad to see lots of different faces, lots of smiling faces this afternoon. With that, I will leave the both Don Carter and Vanessa Mensah to introduce themselves when we get to their items on the agenda. So I will move to the election of officers. So do I have a volunteer or a nomination for the position of chair?
I nominate Councillor Stephen.
Awesome. Councillor Stephen, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, thank you. I accept.
Perfect. Can I have, that's moved by Councillor Hassan. Can I have a seconder? If you are using if you're not comfortable with using your screen all the time, you can raise your virtual hand in Zoom to also move things. That's a seconder from Hal. Any other ones? And seeing none, I will quickly move to vice chair and then we'll do the vote together. Is there a nomination or a volunteer for the position of vice chair? Councillor Stephen?
I'd like to nominate Ophelia.
Ophelia, would you accept the position of vice chair?
I'm muted again, sure.
Perfect. Can I have a seconder for Ophelia, please?
I do.
Seconded by Councillor Hassan. Okay. All those in favor of Councillor Stephen as chair and Ophelia Rigaud as vice chair? Please raise
Aye.
your virtual hands or your virtual hand in Zoom.
Aye.
Perfect. That carries. Thank you very much. And happy to turn it over to you to begin the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back, and welcome to some new faces too. I'm really excited. I'd like to get to know you better offline, hopefully. So that's something that you can expect. I'll try to reach out to you so that we can connect. Let's call this meeting to order. It is 1:07 p.m. And to get us started, we're going to need an approval of the agenda. I'll also remind you at this time that if you would like to add anything during other business, this is when we usually say we've got something to say later. So does anyone have anything they'd like to add for other business, things that they think that the committee should know? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, I have one thing I'd like to add during other business. So
Certainly.
approval of the agenda. So I need a mover and a seconder, please.
I move.
Okay, moved by Councillor Hassan, seconded by, thank you, Hal, and Embalika and Johnson and Ophelia too. You're welcome to just put your hand up if you want to move or second. Yeah, want you guys, and Ophelia, thanks. Yeah, we would love for you guys to participate too. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed, thank you. All right, confirmation of minutes. So I need a mover and a seconder as well for the minutes of our June 26th meeting.
So through you, Councillor, it would have to be either yourself or Miss Ophelia, as they were the only members of the committee present at that meeting.
Okay. Ophelia, do you feel like moving it?
I'll move it.
Sounds good. And I'll second just to keep it simple. All those in favor? You can just raise your hand. That's great. And that carries. Thank you. All right. So any disclosures of pecuniary interest? And Mr. Clerk, since it's our first meeting, do you want to just chime in briefly what that means for people?
Certainly. So a disclosure of pecuniary interest, which at this point, because there's no motions or there's nothing to recommend, is kind of a moot point. However, if you were to have a financial benefit from an item of discussion, or you think that you do, it is best to declare an pecuniary interest and you'll be recused from that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, so no declarations of pecuniary interest. We have no delegations on the agenda, no briefings. So we are on to business, and we have 3 items of business today. So the first item we have is the committee orientation report. And Ian, I believe you are the one who is going to be introducing this to us.
Yes, so
All
thank
right,
you.
thank
I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair, and through you. So this is just a quick orientation report to go over the mandate of the committee and FIPA things, the code of conduct, and how an agenda is typically run. I want to note a number of the members of the committee did come to our training session that was held earlier in the year. So the EDI committee's big job is to advise city staff and council on how best to implement EDI lens issues to internal matters within the city of Kingston. So things like our, I'm going to probably butcher this because our person, Vanessa Mensa, is on the call as well. But basically things like fostering diversity and inclusion in all sectors of the city of Kingston's organization itself. So our hiring practices, how we treat our employees, that kind of a manner. So as you can see, often brought before the committee are items from other departments. So for example, on this committee, on this agenda, we have something from fire and rescue. And then the EDI office itself will also bring a report to the committee, usually quarterly, to discuss any updates on their work as well. So that's the kind of the big task from the EDI committee. And then I'm happy to answer any questions related to procedure or anything else. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ian. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to open it up. If you have any questions for Ian, you can have up to 5 minutes to ask questions. If you need that much, that's great. And then after everyone has had a turn, who wants a turn, we'll be checking if there are members of the public who have questions. From there, we're going to move and second. Well, actually, we don't really need to because it's just an information report. So we're good. So yeah, so just raise your hand, please, if you'd like to speak, and I'll go through you in turn. Councillor Hassan, you're up.
Yep. A quick question to Ian. So EDI committee, as you said, that is taking care of the internal matter of the city departments. Is anything the publicly the committee or the member of the committee can recommend or can see the issue in the general public as well in terms of EDI, diversity and inclusion?
So through you, Chair, sorry, not Vice Chair, that is an excellent question. So the EDI committee's mandate is mainly focused on internal matters within the city of Kingston itself and the organization itself. If there is a matter of issues of an EDI nature, I would advise a member of the public to reach out to their councillor or to reach out to the city's EDI office who may be able to assist in that matter. But the EDI committee primarily deals with items brought before it for internal matters.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, Councillor Hassan? You're
No,
finished?
thank you.
Okay. Hal, I see you. Go ahead.
I've gone through Exhibit A of the next agenda item and have a couple of clarification questions, which would probably be of interest to the committee as well. Am I able to do that in conjunction with that agenda item?
We will be going through each agenda item. So yes, when we get to Indigenous Camp Molly, you can ask questions about that report. Thanks, Hal.
The next report, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any further questions about the committee orientation report? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Ian. And that is just an information report, so we will not be voting on that one today. Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, there is a member of the public. However, that member of the public is a member of the committee. So, Georgis, I'm going to re-ask you to join as a panelist, as you have every right to be here with your face on the screen or not on the screen, but it allows us to be able to record your vote and everything. So when you'll see a button that says record, promote to panelist, please click accept, and then you'll be rejoining the meeting as a full member. And through you, Chair, then therefore there are no members of the public present.
Thank you.
So we are free to move on to the next item.
Okay. Hi, Georgie, welcome. Okay, so moving on to item B, we've got Indigenous Camp Molly, and I believe I saw Deputy Chief Carter here. Deputy Chief, would you like to give a brief introduction of the report?
Yes, good morning, or actually good afternoon, and through the chair. Yes, the report, unfortunately, Chief Blair is in a conference in Florida right now, so I'm going to give the background for it. So this year, actually, I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm 32 years in the fire service, 31 of those spent with Belleville Fire Department. I came down to Kingston as Deputy of Operations last August. I was introduced to the camp, Molly, through when I was training officer in Belleville, and Chief Belair became the chief in Belleville. She asked me as training to join and give a hand. And since then, over the last 2 years, I've played a little bit more of an important role, and I've worked my way up to vice president right underneath her of Camp Molly. So the camp is basically, it's a 4-day camp for self-identifying females and non-binary youths from 15 to 18. And it's an introduction to the fire service for them. It's not just fire suppression. It touches on all aspects of the fire service, right from fire prevention, investigation, communications, AutoX. Currently we have about 8 different evolutions we do. And this year we are presenting the camp in a few northern jurisdictions in northern Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Thunder Bay. So we've added wildland firefighting into our I'll say our evolutions, just because they are a little bit more useful in those certain areas. Like I said, it's a 4-day camp. It is completely free to all the campers through the generous donations that we've been collecting over the last couple of years. We formed an official board a couple of years ago. We become non-for-profit, and we are in the process of getting a charity number right now. So we have a lot of fairly large partnerships with the Indigenous Fire Safety Council of Canada, with the Indigenous Safety Council in Saskatchewan and Quebec, the Indigenous Minister's Office. We also have partnered with them, the OFM's office. They supply all of our investigators for the camps. So we have some larger groups that have partnered with us. Plus on the sponsorship side, we have some fairly large donations that are becoming yearly donations so that these camps can be completely cost-free to anybody coming into it. This year in Kingston, we saw a need last year after speaking with a few members of the Cree National Fire Safety Council and the Indigenous Safety Council in Ontario, a need for something like this in Indigenous communities. After consultation with a lot of these groups, we decided that Kingston, with Chief Belair coming here last year from Belleville, she was going to make the first full Indigenous camp, the one in Kingston this year, which is in May. So it will be completely participants from all over the province. They may not just be from local areas like the Mohawk Reserve, just to the west of us, but applicants will be coming from all over Ontario, and we'll be bringing them in. So hopefully this will be a experience that they're going to remember, and hopefully we'll make it the best experience possible for them. So.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Chief. Are there any questions about the Indigenous Camp Molly report? You can just raise your hand if you have a question. Councillor Hassan, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. How many participants we are expecting? This is the first year. First, I want to congratulate the fire department, Chief Belair, and you, Don, for initiating this camp over here. When I met her at the first time after she became the chair, and she was discussing her role in the Camp Molly. And then I asked her that if we can do such thing here in Kingston. Very happy to hear that, and want to congratulate all of you, and wishing you all the best for the success of this camp. How many participants we are expecting probably this year, and how you going to advertise that so more people can participate?
So each camp we do, we cap it at 35 campers. Unfortunately, that is the maximum that we can put through on a 4-day camp. We tried to go to 40 one year, but it just didn't work out well. So we've decided as a board to cap it at 35. And then that way it flows well throughout the camp.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hassan. Ophelia, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair. My question is, what it's for, you said self-identifying females, girls, or
Yep.
non-binary. I'm wondering what specifically when you are, for lack of a better word, the recruitment of these girls, or is there a specific way of bringing equity that, how are you going to reach like BIPOC youth and, you know, girls? Like what specifically are you doing to make sure that there's representation?
So through the chair, yeah, so during our application process, each of the campers, they have to write a short essay on why they want to join the camp. And I'll say that we actually, each municipality has a selection committee, and then we also appoint a couple members from our board to sit on that selection committee. So that it just, I'll say, there's no favoritism, anything like that. But when we review the essays, and I'll give an example up in Belleville, when we did ours 2 years ago, we had 38 campers. Once the word got out, last year we had 108. So we ended up turning aside over 70 people. With regards to the selection committee, the essays that they write, you can almost get a feel for their municipality, their upbringings. What we're not looking for, we'll get the essays that say that, you know, my dad was a firefighter, my grandfather was a firefighter, that type of thing. But those are not the people that we're trying to reach, because they have access to the fire service right now. Whereas depending on, I'll say, some of their addresses, you can tell what part of the city they're from, and you can tell by reading their essays what kind of opportunities they've had in the past. And those are the types of campers that we're trying to bring to these camps and give them an opportunity that they may not be able to get somewhere else.
So when you are originally like marketing and just calling out for applications, is there a particular focus to make sure that it's being advertised in communities that may not even know about it, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just thinking like I have a program in the school board, and some kids, they would be a great applicant for it. I just want to make sure that maybe if you are, like, for instance, I'm in a Black WhatsApp group, and sometimes the families find out about things in the community only because a member has posted it, and otherwise they would not have known. So I'm just wondering if there is some way that, and I like the idea that you're not looking for, you know, the person who's, this is a 4th generation firefighter and you're looking for people, but I just wanted to also just offer some suggestions that in order for people to apply and you get more applications for that group that you're looking for, it's also making sure that that community is getting the information from where they tend to get information. Sometimes it's a little bit unorthodox where they
Yep.
find it. So just wondering if that should be considered.
So the one in Kingston is going to be a little bit different because we're drawing from all over Ontario, but
Okay.
most typically the camps that we do, you have to live within the it would be the city of Kingston greater area. So when we're advertising, we have I'll say templates for social media posts. We have a set timeline from the time that before registration opens up, and it's all through our website, www.campmolly.com. A certain timeline before registrations opens up, we start to advertise it on social media. We go into the schools, we talk to the guidance counselors, we advertise through local schools. We reach out to sports facilities. We literally put up flyers in sports facilities, stuff like that. So we are trying to reach out to as many avenues through the schools, through the sporting groups, through different avenues like that, especially on especially social media nowadays. What we've found, the very first year we were a little lax, I'll say, in that area. But what we found is as soon as it starts to go out on social media, it spreads like wildfire right now. So, and we're doing our best to try and reach all the different areas of town in the different cities. And when we go to, so say we go to Thunder Bay this summer, we've never been up there yet, but that's where we rely on their leads and their fire departments to try and explain to us how we can reach out to their communities the best. The camp that we're doing up in northern Quebec, it's a Cree Nation. So a lot of the avenues that we use for them may not work the same as that we would use for a regular one in, say, Vaughan type of thing. So each camp's a little different, but we are doing our best, and we're learning every time how to reach the members of the community the best.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, Ophelia. It looks like Vanessa Mensah has some comments to your question as well. Vanessa, just to introduce her briefly, is the manager of the EDI office with the City of Kingston. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, Ophelia, this specific Camp Molly is for Indigenous self-identifying girls. And so that has been the primary focus. However, I do want to let you know that I have spoken to Chief Blair and is aware that there's a great need for this to be open to all Black, Indigenous, and people of color who would be really interested in doing this program. And so we are doing some work in the background to ensure that when this opportunity is up again in the future, that it's opened up to a wider range of self-identifying women. But for this specific one, that it was pre-arranged before, before she did come here to the city, and that it was meant specifically for Indigenous. And so to your point, I know that she has been advertising specifically within the Indigenous community, and that's where it has been her focus, recognizing that there is an intersectionalities of Black and Indigenous and different identities. And so she has been working, but want to let you know that that is something that is being considered for future opportunities.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for that clarity.
And just to add to Vanessa's comments, we did, even before I came to Kingston, we were contemplating doing 2 camps in Kingston this year, a totally Indigenous, and then one open to the public. But as it is, we did 6 camps last year, and we're completely volunteer as well. We volunteer all of our time to put these camps on, and it is a lot of work. So the very first year she did it in 19, she did 2 camps. COVID kind of put a little hiatus on it for a couple of years. So in 2022, we did 2. Last year we did 6, and this year we actually had 12 on the schedule. 3 of which 2 in Saskatchewan, 1 in northern Quebec, and the extra one it was just too much. It grew legs, I'll say, over the last 6 months. So we just didn't want to commit to a second one in Kingston and not be able to follow through with it. So
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ophelia. Just sort of hopping back to an orientation piece. For those of you who are new and haven't experienced meetings like this, it can sound kind of formal and a bit confusing if you haven't been through this before. So I just want to let you know, if you would like to speak, all you have to do is raise your hand. I just go through people in order, so you can raise it at any time and I'll just jot it down for you. Okay, so don't be shy. And when it's your turn, you have up to 5 minutes. I start a timer when you're speaking and I stop it when people are responding to your questions or comments. Okay, and there's no such thing as a bad question. So I just want to, before we move on to our next item, is there anyone else on the committee who would like to speak or ask a question?
If I remember, Councillor Stephen, Hal indicated that he had something to speak to this item.
Okay, you're right. Thank you. Hal, go ahead.
No, my question will come from the next agenda item, Exhibit A.
You got it. Thanks, Hal. Okay, so Mr. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak?
There are no members of the public present.
Okay, thank you very much. And okay, so again, that was an information report, so no need to vote on that one. Deputy Chief, thank you very much. Moving on, we have our third item of business, our Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Office Report for Q2, Q3, and Q4 of 2023. And here to introduce the report, again, we have Vanessa Mensa, Manager of our EDI office at the City of Kingston. Over to you, Vanessa.
Thank you again, and Madam Chair, through you. Good afternoon again. I'm here to bring to you a very brief overview of what we've been working on in the city for the last few months for Q2, Q3, and Q4. And so the first item was, as you may have had a chance to read over, was the fee waiver policy. And so our department had taken some work and understanding that there is a fee waiver is just when folks are wanting to use city facilities, depending on what the criteria are, that we're able to waive those fees. So we wanted to take a closer look to ensure that there are no barriers. And so that policy is being refined at this time, and there should be a new policy coming out in the spring. And then we also have the Indigenous Peoples Day. So again, several events that took place over the Q2 that we had promised we were going to support. And so there's an overview of just the amount of folks who attended those events. So for the National Indigenous Peoples Day, about 4,000 people participated in that event. We saw buses come in with school children that came to participate in the different festivities of that day. And then with a concert and a few other activities that took place. And then there was an update around the anti-racism working group. So this is a working group that is, there is two folds. So there is the community focus, which is the working group. And then there's also the task force, which consists of leaders in the community who are also actioning the suggestions and the ideas from the working group. And so they have been meeting at this point right now. They meet bi-monthly at this point, as well as the task force that also meets as well. Through this anti-racism working group and the anti-racism task force, there will be a campaign that is the anti-racism campaign. It is being led right now by DM Dodo Strategic Design, has been retained, and they had done some surveys in the community, and they'll be putting out a campaign recognizing the importance, not the importance, but that to stop racism happening in our community. I also want to just provide an update on the Indigenous cultural awareness training. And so the city had hired a consultant to develop some training for the internal staff. We had rolled out the first module as a volunteer to see, just to kind of get a sense from the corporation, just to get some initial feedback to be able to refine that training a bit more. And so we rolled it out in September of 2023. We had a lot of interest, of course, in learning about it. However, it's not mandatory at this time because we wanted to create a better strategy of how we're going to roll this training out. We also had, as part of our the EDI plan, was to review the Grand Theater programming. What we found is that the Grand Theater programming is quite has an IIDIA lens, so indigeneity, inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility, and so that looks and takes forms in terms of the various programs that are offered. So we saw performances from a Zimbabwe, artist. We had from the 2S LGBTQIA community performance. There was fees that were, specifically for, students that could pay, or demographic groups that were able to pay a lower fee. And so in the review of the work that the grant is doing, we felt that it had an EDI lens. Of course, not where we want to be, but not where we used to be many years ago. So we saw some progress, and we know that they are actively working on creating more inclusive programming at the Grand. We also saw that even within the arts and culture department, we saw an alignment with Emancipation Day, bringing in a rapper to perform at the Market Square. I must tell you, in the many years that I've been in Kingston, never thought that I would see some of the things, the fantastic work that I'm seeing in our organization, in our corporation. But seeing that there's a rapper that came out and performed, I believe it was Cardinal Official that shared with us in Emancipation Day. Again, and I'm going to take a pause after this just to give you some, just to, make sure that I'm following track here. But so we also celebrated Emancipation Day in August of 2023. Again, we had a team come together, making up community members as well as internal staff, and put together a program how to recognize Emancipation Day. The theme was Thriving in Color, and again, honoring the resiliency of the Black community and the ongoing anti-Black racism and discrimination. We saw, we saw a collaboration of Queens, St. Lawrence, the Frontenac Library, the Kingston Frontenac Library, the Agnes, as well as downtown Kingston business who came in, as well as local businesses who came and supported the event and also supported the planning of the event. And then we also did the Intercultural Arts Festival, probably one of the largest intercultural arts festival that we've held here at Kingston. We had many different offerings from food. Really, it was as if you were here in Kingston, went all around the world without ever having to leave Kingston or have a passport, from food to workshops to performances, cultural pavilions. We saw a huge uptake in cultural pavilions, about 15 cultural pavilions, as well as community organizations and attractions. So for ongoing deliverables, we had talked about the Pride Sidewalk. That was a new initiative that we took on. So if you remember, the previous Pride crosswalk was in front of City Hall and needed to be removed. And so we did some work with the 2S LGBTQIA community to inquire about where they felt the best place to put the crosswalk. And we did some community consultation at Pride, and we put up a permanent, temporary crosswalk at Ontario and Clarence. The permanent one will go in the springtime. At this time right now, there's environmental assessment because we're doing pedestrianization between Clarence and Ontario Street. And so wanted to make sure that is completed before we put in the permanent one. We did not want to put in the permanent crosswalk only to have to rip it out based on what the assessment, the outcome of the assessment. And so in terms of recognition of significant observance and events, so we did not have a real solid way beyond just our knowledge of recognizing important days and significant days. And so we are now utilizing CCDI's diversity calendar, which stands for Canadian Center for Diversity and Inclusion. They have created a calendar that looks at all the celebrations that Canadians recognize. And so we're following that as a way to recognize the significant days and celebrations so that we're not missing anybody out. What we're also doing with this calendar is that within our internal communications, we're putting what's happened with each significant date. We're putting that as part of our communications so that our colleagues are aware of the celebrations that are taking place. Previously, there was a hit and miss. We would miss some of the dates unintentionally because we weren't aware of them. So this allows us to stay steady and to allow us to be able to share all the dates that are recognized nationally and are also important to important to the folks who are in our workplace. So for the gender inclusive bathroom and feminine products, hygiene products, sorry. Currently right now, we do not have a standardized, we don't have gender inclusive bathrooms in all city facilities. And so this is something that we undertook last year. I know that Councillor Stephen, you had asked for this to be a project that we look at and that we do complete. And so we wanted to take some time to understand, identify what bathrooms could be converted into gender inclusive bathrooms. We wanted to have a better understanding of what the need was. And so we have done that work. We are taking all the single stall bathrooms in City Hall, in all the different city facilities, specifically City Hall, and we're going to convert them into gender inclusive bathrooms. And then in British Wing building, there isn't a single stall bathroom. So we have decided to take the, I believe it's the 3rd floor. We've decided to take that floor. And the bathroom, there's two, right now, male and one female. We're going to make both of them gender inclusive washrooms. And to add to that project, what we decided to do is that we're going to include hygiene products in each of those gender inclusive bathrooms. So we're not going to put it in only just female or only just male identifying bathrooms. All the gender inclusive bathrooms will have those hygiene products. And I did forget to introduce somebody who is here with me today. Harry Blackwell is an intern that's working in our department at this time, and he is supporting this initiative. So just want to make sure that I say, allow him to say hello to you all.
Hi, everybody. It's really great to be here. Very excited to work on this stuff. So, thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Harry. I'll keep going ahead. So we also have the EDI Learning Series. So I'm newer to the role of the EDI manager. And one of the things that I noticed was that we had been doing a lot of great works, but there wasn't a foundational understanding of why we're doing EDI. And so I have to, my team and I have created an EDI Learning Series. So we're going to start with manager, supervisors and above. And so that would include the Indigenous training that I spoke about earlier. That will include foundations of EDI. So what is EDI and how we got here? Understanding the history, anti-Black racism, understanding colonization, why we're here. So we created a learning series around understanding the EDI principles. And so that is going to take an effect, and we're going to have all the supervisors and above take that training and take that learning. Again, building a foundation so that we can now begin to add on some of those specialty learnings and opportunities. So then there's also the Municipality Newcomers Day. So we were tasked by council to develop and like a plan, how we might recognize newcomers in Kingston. And so we have done the research and we have put together a plan based on what some of the other communities are doing. And so we are looking at having, as a possibility of having a citizenship ceremony at council chambers, if that's where we've already reached out and we're waiting to hear back, looking at ways where we could have some community and service info booths. And so, for example, if you're as a newcomer to Kingston, maybe you might want to know, where you get your recycling bins. Maybe you want to understand how to open a bank account. Maybe you want to get a social insurance number. And so working with these services to come and be part of that day so that we can help integrate newcomers in our community. Of course, with every celebration, it's important to have some sort of food or some sort of celebration, and also a day where newcomers can also be a part and witness and celebrate the newcomers that we have in Kingston. In this section here, the next item, we heard feedback from the community around not sharing in advance dates about EDI event dates. So one of them being Intercultural Arts Festival, as well as the Newcomers Welcome Date. So wanted to seek some feedback from you at the end of this presentation on the dates that we have selected. So for Intercultural Arts Festival, we selected Sunday, September 22nd. And then for the Newcomers Day, we've selected October 25th to October 28th, and wanting to hear your feedback on those dates if they're appropriate. And so I will say that previously our department had selected dates that have landed on holy days, have landed on a significant date that did not work for certain community members to fully participate. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again this year. And so we're wanting to seek your thoughts. We have also sought thoughts from other community members, but want to hear from you as well. And then in the Exhibit A, we have some work plan deferrals, And so I taken on this role. I have worked with my team to put on to have an put on an RFP. It was just actually posted on Friday. So to have an RFP, to have a consultant come and help us develop a strategy for this for IIDIA. And so for both internally, but also for the community at large. And in doing that, there are some of the work plans that had been identified that we were wanting to put on hold at this time until the RFP, until the consultant has come in and done their work, to ensure that we're not putting the cart before the horse. Wanted to make sure that we're doing things systematically. And so some of those items include within the organizational culture. So developing a policy for unionized staff to join corporate initiatives, including, ERG groups. So for example, this is a project, this specific one is one that is quite complex if you understand what the union world is like, and that they're also something that we have a project that's ongoing right now called City 360, which is looking at the organizational culture and how we make some shift and how we make some changes. And so this might be one where we defer either to get some more insights or to also see how this this piece is addressed through the other initiatives. So Workplace Connect will soon be launched. Again, that's another, there was a buddy program that had been indicated in the work plan. Through the City 360 initiative, there is a co-worker connect program that is going to be developed, and so that will address that. So again, this is being deferred because it's being addressed in a different initiative at the city.
Vanessa, sorry to interrupt. I'll give you 30 more seconds, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. And so with the, again, you'll see, maybe not to go through all of them, but you'll see there that there are several initiatives that have been deferred until we have, either because they're being addressed in another initiative, or because we're wanting the city, the consultants to do their work and then figure out where we go from here. So I'll stop here. Sorry, I did try to rush through my presentation, but I will stop here.
Thank you, Vanessa. No worries. There is a lot of information there. So we'll go over to committee members. Vanessa indicated she's looking for feedback on those dates. And also, if you have any questions or comments about what's happened in 2023, now is a great time. So please raise your hand if you'd like to ask any questions or make comments. And you can have up to 5 minutes. Johnson, go ahead. I'll set the time. You have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Chair. Now, I just want to ask, I heard Vanessa talk about the newcomer day. So I don't know, are you planning to partner with maybe some community stakeholders, in achieving this? I mean, maybe I missed that. I didn't hear that. How do you aim to achieve that?
Vanessa, I think. Yep.
Yeah, Madam Chair, through you. Yes, we are going to be partnering with communities. Right now, a community partner that we are working with is KIP, Kingston Immigration Partners. And I know that we do need to expand that circle a little bit more. But initially, in terms of doing that research, we have been working collaboratively with that agency. Okay,
so I just want to say now, because sometimes I see, a replication of events in the city, and I feel there is this missing link where people don't connect to know, okay, maybe we could just do this together, because I know that there is a group already who are also planning something similar. So I don't know how quick that will come, who have also conducted the same research we're talking about, something similar. So it would be very good if, and I know KIP is also part of that group. So, so it would be good if you could reach out to more community stakeholders to, get them informed about this, so that maybe there could be some partnership rather than we replicating the same program now, because theirs may possibly come earlier than the date you propose it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, through you, thank you very much for that feedback. It sounds like you have some specific, services that you're aware of. So maybe perhaps if you want to share those with me at a later date, that would be really appreciated. This is one that was asked, like council had directed us to do this research, and so that's what we have done, this research. But of course, I agree with you in terms of collaborating with other community resource community agencies. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Johnson. Hal, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Vanessa, for your report and all the good work you're providing leadership to. I went through Exhibit A in the lead up to this meeting, trying to look at stuff that the committee is ostensibly consulting and providing input on, just to orient myself. I came up with a couple of questions. For example, and you talked a bit about this, the anti-racism working group and anti-racism task force. I'm wondering if there's anywhere I could find out who's on those committees, those groups, and if they provided any reports on what they accomplished. So I'm not sure. I'll just throw that out there. It'd be interesting because it does show this committee as consulting and providing input. So it'll be interesting to know who's on those two groups, what they've done, and what they've reported. Another one that I'm pretty soon, Councillor Stevens going to be after me on time, but another question that came up. We're supposed to consult and provide input on an item called Action Deliverable Review Municipal Access Without Fear Policy. So I'm wondering if the leads on this policy, which are several, have they provided any composite report on what they found? And also, is there a single existing document or policy entitled Municipal Access Fear Policy? If there is a policy per se, it'd be interesting to see that policy. And then lastly, there's an item, an action deliverable, review the city's current practices with an IIDA lens. And we're supposed to consult and provide input on that. It says it's ongoing. So what I'm wondering, is there a list that would describe all the current practices that are involved here? Like pretty general, all current practices. I'd be interested to know what those, what are those current practices? And is there somewhere a composite ongoing record for related recommended changes, like for us as a committee to pick up on? So that's my question. Thanks again, Councillor Stephen. Thank you, and Vanessa.
Thanks, Hal. And you still have 1:42 left if you have questions after Vanessa responds, okay? So Vanessa, I'll pass it over to you to answer Hal's questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. So to your question, I'm happy to put you in contact with the co-chair and the co-chairs of the anti-racism task force. So that's Pavna and Abba Mortley. I'm happy to put you in contact with them because they'll be able to share those information that you're looking for with you. In regards to the Exhibit A, review municipal access without fear policy. So that is not due until Q3 of 2024. Now, if you remember what I had shared around hiring a consultant that is going to support us in creating a vision internally and a vision, a framework for our work, to guide our work internally and also externally. And so out of that, once that report is completed, we'll have a better sense of how we're moving forward. And so I'm not sure that if this is going to be one of the priorities that are going to be on the new framework that we're going to be looking at. And so I'm not able to speak to that at this time, because it's not an action or a deliverable at this time right now that I'm looking at. And in terms of providing feedback similar to the fee waiver policy that we are doing some work on. Once that policy is completed, we would bring it to this committee to collect some feedback on. So it's not a compilation of 20 or 16 policies we're asking you to look at. It's the ones that we are making some revisions to that we might bring to this table to say, do you have any thoughts on are we on the right track? What might we be missing? That is what we're looking at. And so there isn't a list of policies that's how I understand your question. Please correct me if I'm wrong, to bring to this group to say, provide us with your feedback and to review that. As part of the RFP request that we have put out, that is one of the hopes that we're looking that the RFP consultant will be able to share with us some of the policies that we might need to look at or might need to create. So maybe I'll stop here if that answers your question.
Oh,
I'm mute here. Thank you, Vanessa. Only other thing, is there a municipal access without fear policy? That tells me there's a policy somewhere. Is that something we could receive?
Vanessa?
Madam Chair, through you, I could inquire about that and see if that is a policy that I'm able to share. I'm not I'll have to. That's through Housing and Social Services, and so I would need to see if I'm able to share that with you. If that becomes part of the next package, I'll check with our clerk to follow up on that. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hal, any further questions?
No, I think I'm out of time anyway.
Okay, thank you. Would any other committee members like to ask a question or comment? Ambelika, go ahead.
I just have one question based on like what you were talking about, the binary bathrooms and the hygiene products. I was wondering, is that only going to be, like, I think you were talking about how it's going to be installed in the city itself, like the city hall. But I was wondering, will that also be installed other like bathrooms as well, like in schools and stuff?
Thank you. Vanessa, go ahead.
Thank you for your question. Through you, Madam Chair. So we are going to be putting the hygiene project in hygiene products in all city facilities that are in the gender inclusive bathrooms. In terms of schools, that we don't have jurisdiction over that area, and so that is not. I can't speak to that, but I do. So I can't actually speak to what happens in the school, but I will say that within city properties, that is something that we are looking at. Thank you for your question.
Thanks, Vanessa. And I'll just add, Ambelika, that's a good question for the school board if you would like to ask that. Did you have any further questions here? No? Okay, thank you. I've got just two really quick ones, Vanessa. My first one is so for city staff, there's an Indigenous education piece that's rolling out. I can't remember where, but somewhere in the report that it was encouraged. I'm just wondering, is it only encouraged or is it required? Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, when it was rolled out last year, it was just encouraged because we needed to create a process to ensure that folks were making the time and did have the time to do that. And so now that we are moving to this new model of the EDI learning series, it will be required for all supervisors and above to do that. And as we work through the leaders, then it will be required for staff.
Great, thank you. My second question is in the sort of the update on the work plan under priority 1 for organizational culture. There's a part that just sort of maybe do a double take, and I just wanted to see if you could explain what it means. So one of the items is research on developing an employee hotline for anonymous tips. What is that referring to?
Right, and so thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, that is a goal that was developed previously to address some of the concerns around folks who are not feeling safe within the workplace. And so again, this is part of the work that is being done through City 360 to address some of the organizational issues and culture and addressing some of those. And so that is my understanding. Unfortunately, that was made before I was part of this department. I started overseeing this department, but that was my understanding of the reason behind it. And I know that is being addressed through the 360 initiative within the 360 initiatives.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just the anonymous tips part kind of
Yeah.
raised the hair on my neck. It made me feel a bit of concern. I can't quite articulate why, but I'm hoping that there are sort of more formal ways to support staff and make sure that these things are being addressed.
Right, and if I may add to that, so there are processes. We have the different processes where folks can share concerns that they're experiencing within the HR department and also with their managers and directors and whatnot. And so this was just an extra layer. And so I can assure you that the 360 initiatives is addressing some of those concerns where folks don't need to have anonymous, but rather it's encouraged to come and share their concerns with either HR or with their supervisors, managers.
Terrific, thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments they'd like to ask? Okay, seeing none. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Vanessa. So we are moving on from business. We have no motions. We have no notices of motion. Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair, do we have any members of the public who want to ask questions?
No, no, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. We will continue on. So no motions, no notices of motion. For other business, I have just one thing I'd like to flag for everybody, and I'm hoping, Mr. Clerk, you might be able to send this information out to the committee too, so they can share with their networks. So we have, sorry, I'm just pulling it up. International Women's Week is approaching March 4th to 8th, and I just wanted to highlight 3 events that are happening. One, Monday, March 4th is the beginning of the week, and so at the Kingston Frontenac Public Library Central Branch from 4:30 to 7, there is a Celebrating Kingston Women event. It includes interactive art showcases, performances, storytelling, and it concludes with a social gathering, so any supporters are welcome to join. It is free. Following that event at City Hall and Memorial Hall, there is a live performance of Have You Seen My Sister from an award-winning local artist, Aruna, and it will be starting at 7:30 going till 9. And finally, Friday, March 8th is International Women's Day. There is a march happening. People are gathering outside City Hall, I believe at the front, and it will be happening from 4:30 to 6:30. And in the email that you'll be hopefully getting, there's more information on all of these events for you to share and perhaps attend. Thank you. All right, moving on, we have no correspondence, and the date of our next meeting for the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee is scheduled for Monday, April 29th, 2024 at 1 p.m. This is where we get to vote again. So I need a motion to adjourn, a mover and a seconder, please. And this is where people can race to put their hands up. Thanks.
Aye.
By Jerice, thank you. Seconded by Ophelia. And this is where you vote again. All those in favor? You can put your hand up. Malika, you're voting too. Get your hand up there. There you go. Opposed? And that carries. Thanks everyone for your time today. We will see you again in April, and please reach out if you need anything, okay? Take care.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.